Hello and welcome back to another video on the Wrestle Debate and to another edition of Smackdown Out of 10. A huge show today. We're just a week or two away from Elimination Chamber, so we're going to discover what WWE's plans are for this week's events. So get a taste of that. Should be a good show. Rollins is returning, so let's get straight into it. Roman Reigns starts off the show with Jey Uso and Paul Heyman, and they've joined Adam Pearce, who was already in the ring. Roman said that he didn't wait for anyone. So Adam Pearce announced that he would be defending his title in the Elimination Chamber. Reigns was angry and then said he'd win and basically just called out Edge, and that was the end of the segment. Fairly generic start to SmackDown, I suppose. Next up we moved into King Corbin and Sami Zayn versus the Mysterios. Sami gave a whole speech before about how everything was a fraud. Back on SmackDown when the match began, Corbin and Zayn were in control before Dominic hit a big sequence of moves to put the faces in control. Baron Corbin ran him quickly to break the count after Ray got top. Ray was sent outside, leaving Dominic alone in the ring, and that allowed Sami to take advantage, hitting a Hoover kick for the win. I'll give this a 6 out of 10. Okay start to the show. Next up on SmackDown, Apollo Crews was out answering Big E's open challenge. Big E said no, and instead called out someone who hadn't yet had an opportunity, and that turned out to be Shinsuke Nakamura. Nakamura was basically being dominated. Big E, however, did have to counter a Sasha, and when it looked like he was going to hit the big ending, Apollo Crews interrupted and cost him the match. 5 out of 10. This is a mess. Made them both look heels. Next up, the SmackDown locker room. Seth Rollins was out. He said he's changed after becoming a parent, but he hasn't actually. Said he was going to take over SmackDown. Everyone left except for Cesaro, who stayed. Then he left, he got beaten up, and that was the end of the segment. Basically, we've got the old Seth Rollins back, who everyone hated so much. Next up, we got Bayley versus Liv Morgan. Bayley unloaded on Liv pretty much straight away. A shoulder breaker left Morgan in pain, and she blocked the Bayley to belly. However, Billie Kay was at ringside and distracted Ruby Riott just as Morgan was getting on top, allowing Bayley to use the distraction and hit the Rose Plant for the win. I'll give this a 6 out of 10. It was okay, but to be honest, I'm kind of fed up with this storyline. I think it's probably run its course. Before we got the Street Profits versus Otis and Chad Gable. Dawkins and Gable kicked off the match and Ford was tagged in early. Ford was tossed outside by Otis after he hit a big slam. Gable was tagged in, but the Profits recovered and Dawkins hit the anointment and Ford came in with a splash to end the match. I'll give this a 6 out of 10. To be honest, I just still don't know why we didn't keep the titles on the Street Profits. This just kind of feels meaningless, to be honest. Hopefully they regain them back at Chamber or Mania. But anyway, Sasha Banks was out next, wanting Bianca Belair to announce that she was challenging her at WrestleMania. Bianca came out, they bickered for a bit before the Women's Tag Team Champions came out. They had a little bit of an argument. Nia shouted my hell again, so that's probably going to be a dead gimmick soon. And yeah, that was the end of the segment. I'm not really sure this was necessary, but it was fine, I suppose. Yeah, fine. And in our main event, it was Cesaro and Daniel Bryan versus Rude and Ziggler with the qualification at stake. Ziggler and Bryan kicked off the match. Bryan hit a missile drop kick and caught was the spine buster. However, when Rude got the tagged in, Ziggler tagged in, got the famous before Cesaro managed to get on top and hit a spine buster and the sharpshooter for the win. Sami and Corbin attacked Cesaro, Uso and Bryan after the match. Eventually Owens joined the fight too. I'll give this a 6 out of 10. It was an okay match to SmackDown and probably the right result. In fact, I'll give it a 7 out of 10 just because I love how they're pushing Cesaro. Overall this week, SmackDown gets a 6 out of 10 from me. For me, it wasn't SmackDown's greatest ever show. I found some of it not great, to be honest. There were some decent parts, but there were some parts that were really confusing, and I would say down on your average week of SmackDown, which is normally so good. So I would say maybe a slightly disappointing episode. But anyway guys, that's it for the video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts and comments down below. And follow me on Twitter, link in the description below for daily wrestling news. And subscribe to our channels on the screen right now. That'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace.